Testing 1, 2, 3. Let's see here. Audio. No. Okay, Chuck's got us. There's Chuck Leonard. Hey, John Jacobs. Okay. Maybe it's just because it's Alaska. Andrew, do you have us in Alaska? Must be on his end. Well, this is what we look like. My parents paid a lot of money for this. Yeah, I tell you. Face made for radio, Chuck. Thanks. Yeah. It looks like everybody's coming. I don't want to get started until we have, I don't know, we've got a slew of people coming in. So welcome to everybody. I don't have any intro music to play for you. That would have been cool.
Yeah, why not? I might be able to fix that.
Okay. This should be interesting.
Man, next time we do our 50th episode, we'll be more prepared.
Oh man, I'm going to have to put you on hold a minute. We're going to keep this locked out for just a few minutes. Well, we just learned it. Well, guys, if you weren't there on the other blab that we were testing on, you missed us trying to figure out how to get George to talk.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure it out.
The smartest guy of the bunch.
It's very technical, apparently.
It's that fancy microphone that you bought.
Yeah, I had to finish writing the new driver for it. You know, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, Mary Chandler. Hey, we know her. Hey, Mary. If anybody's wondering, I'm at my wife's shop. This is where my wife has her business. That's the sign behind me. So she said, y'all, that's awesome. Yeah, we're here. And I've got a hat on. I got some lighting up here. You'll appreciate it later when I remove the hat. So Chuck would probably like, Jeremy, have you seen my hat today?
Yeah, I just noticed it.
You notice it? Sharp, huh?
I'll give you a kudo.
Yeah. Sweet, I'm in the lead. I'm tied. Yeah, I got a couple. I can't find mine, though.
Tip your head forward. What is it?
Okay.
It's double secret squirrel.
Oh.
Don't you like it?
Is that significant? What is that? Does that mean anything or just it's cool?
Give Kale props if you know what it is.
George, we'll tell you in Dayton.
Okay.
We'll introduce you to people. Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
What do you think, Jeremy?
I think
he hangs out with cool people.
Yeah. Well, he hangs out with us.
Yeah. Okay. It is 6.
I got the music.
33. You do? Okay. Play some music.
MTCRadio.com presents Photime, the other ham radio podcast. Found online at PhotimePodcast.com. Now, here's your host, Cale Nelson, K4CDN.
Yeah, hey, well, welcome in to episode number 50 of the Photime Podcast. Didn't anticipate that. That was a pretty cool intro, Jeremy. Thank you. Hey, speaking of, I had hoped to have some of the folks from Main Trading Company on tonight, but Richard has done something to his back, and I think he's even out of town, and he's injured, so don't really know what's going on there, but had hoped to have him come by and see us. We're getting more people. Hey, Alan, nice to see you. Thank you for the support there. You guys have been great, and this is episode 50 of the Photime Podcast. It is one that has. Jeremy, did you ever think this time would happen? I mean, sincerely, did you?
I thought we were good for 10.
Okay. George,
solid
10. George, what were your thoughts on that?
I was betting on 20.
You was betting on 20? Well, there was a couple of times that I had about all I could take, and it really wasn't the show. It was just life getting in the way. And here we are, 50 shows later with two of the most awesome guys I've never met in my life. Yet. We're going to change that in about a month, right? A month and a couple of days. So,
something like that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Did get the airplane ticket order for Dayton. I did get the room reserved, a car, and hey, there's Tony coming in. Welcome in, guys. And ladies, glad that you're here with us. I am Cale Nelson, K4CDN. You can see now why I podcast and not do vlogs and stuff like that. To my right, I guess it's probably the same for you guys. That's George Zafiropoulos, and his microphone is working.
Hey, everybody. KJ6VU in San Jose, California.
Yeah. He sounds like a video, an audio pro there. He missed his calling. And below me, no less than my buddy Jeremy KF7IJZ. It's the microphone, George. Jeremy, welcome in.
K4CDN and the group KF7IJZ.
I love it. I love it. And I want to talk about your picture of all your zeros here later before, as we continue. But yeah, episode 50. This is the Photon Podcast. I am Cale Nelson, your host, K4CDN. Hey, Curtis, glad that you're here with us as well, and I appreciate you being here. And we hope to bring some folks in here later, the folks who have been on the show before, who will be on the show maybe soon. Wow, look at that.
Ooh,
I don't even know what it does. Guys listening, like if you're listening to the podcast, and we understand that you can't see this, but Jeremy has a stack of pi zeros. It's like
10 pi zeros.
So that's almost...
Wow. That's
zero.
still a pi zero.
It's still zero. So what are you doing with those things?
Honestly, these right now, not much of anything. I've got one I'm using as a digital music server for a tube hi-fi amp that I've built. Mm-hmm. I originally got these to do Einstein at home, and they're too brittle of a setup right now. There's a cool hat coming where you're going to be able to plug 4 of these things into a Pi 2 or a Pi 3 to kind of build a little miniature cluster. So I'm waiting for that to get developed.
Okay. So pretty much you're just buying them so other people can't get them.
Pretty much. And I'm selling them for $400 a piece.
Nice. What a bargain.
Now, you want to hear the thing that'll make you really sick?
What is
Ooh,
George?
What's that?
So that's a BeagleBone Black. So we can compare processors.
And I'm at the beauty shop. I can get some scissors maybe.
Uh-oh.
I'll see your BeagleBone Black and raise you 7 Raspberry Pi 3s in the box.
Wait a minute.
Okay, guys, what you're not seeing, if you're listening to us later this week, is George just presented a BeagleBone Black on the screen. Jeremy comes up with 7 boxes of Pi 3. Not even. This is why you can't buy these things on Amazon, ladies and gentlemen. Jeremy.
You know what's funny? I bought every single one of them one at a time at the local Micro Center.
They didn't give you like a deal?
No, they won't let you buy more than. Well, right now you can't buy more than one at a time.
You go in and buy one, and then come back 5 minutes later and try to find a different guy to sell it to you.
Or I bring my wife with me. My daughter buys one. The dogs, whatever. I only needed 8. I have my 8, but I haven't built my cluster yet.
Okay, how about a pick and a BeagleBone Black?
There you go. There you go.
And you designed that board, didn't you?
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, he wins.
You win.
Okay, so here we are. We've got George has the biggest one right now, so we're gonna just keep rolling on with the show.
Well, that's settled. Continue, please.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk about a couple of different things tonight, and I believe that we have enough folks in here with us right now. It looks like we have 163 viewers. Is that right? That's insane. I guess that's what that means. Well, so I say that we've been on for about 5 or 10 minutes, and we've got some announcements to make. Of course, the Dayton thing is happening. Just got the plane ticket ordered.
I want to correct you.
What?
There are 163 people publicly on Blab. There are 18 in the room.
I'll take 20.
That's good.
And somebody's liking on you right now. I see that. You've got more than me. You got your wife in there pressing the button on the other
No,
one. Okay.
she's Oh, I know who that is. Thanks, Sam.
So anyway, yeah, we're here to chat about some changes, and we're also here to chat about some things happening. Thank you. I'm just getting some mega love right now. Talk about some things happening with Photime. We're coming to Dayton. The booth is sponsored by my buddy George and Pactena. Nick, thank you so much, guys. We're going to be there. It's Bravo Alpha 406. Is that right, George?
That's correct.
I just saw Stuart's picture on there. Hey, Stuart. He must be back from his national parks on the air. So let's talk a little bit about history, because we got started on that and then we got off the subject. But it's almost 2 years ago that started working on this thing called Photime. It was a podcast. I didn't really anticipate it becoming what it became kind of rapidly. It was supposed to be just some buddies of mine and Jeremy's and others on a website chatting about who we were, still hiding behind our avatars. That's where the really bad name comes from. I got 2 emails this week. Cale, what does Photime mean? And it's an inside joke. And maybe if you come to Dayton, we'll give you the lowdown on it. But it's Dave Jackson, I wish I had the audio with me. Dave Jackson interviewed me on his School of Podcasting podcast a few months ago and said, if you could redo one thing in regards to amateur radio podcast, Photime, what would you do? And I said, the number one thing I would do, the number one thing I could tell anybody coming into podcasting is to really give the name of your show a lot of thought, because it's not necessarily what you think it's going to be. It could be a lot bigger than what you anticipate. So I when folks come into podcasting, I try to take just a minute or two and say, hey, really think about your title, because it could be something that you're not anticipating, the growth. I never anticipated a guy from California asking if he could come hang out with us and become such an integral part of the show. Jeremy listened to me go on one night for about an hour on the phone. We had never spoken to one another, and he kind of got excited. So that was cool. And they told me early on it was going to be more than it was, and I didn't believe them. But you guys were both right. So who knew? Yeah, I didn't have any idea.
Let me get my wife in here, and you can say that again.
Hey, we've got this recorded. We're recording. We're recording. So, yeah. Anyway, the Photime podcast has been around for, I don't know, almost 2 years. My car just blew up on me, guys. And sorry. There we go.
What blew up?
The SD card.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So, episode 50, who knew it would happen? I mean, I'm still kind of in shock. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She doesn't listen, so that's okay. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. Photime podcast has been great, been a lot of fun. But we want to come in tonight and spend some time with the folks who've been on our show before, but also we got some things to say. We've already told you Dayton's happening. We've gone over that 3 or 4 times. But I guess the most important thing, guys, is we get to the meat and potatoes of the program here. The main reason we're here doing this live with our 20-some-odd viewers and recording for the upcoming week's show is we have what I really think this is a huge announcement. Am I wrong there? Am I right, guys?
Well, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a bittersweet announcement.
Okay. George, do you have any opinions on it?
Yeah, I think well, for us, I think it's a really important thing. And it's also very important to have continuity with what got the program, the show to where it is now, and make sure that, that we don't lose that, even though we're going to be adding some more to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the first thing, commercial sponsors, one of the first things we're going to add to it is that was a comment there in the bar. We've got commercial sponsors. We're sponsored by our main trading company. We're sponsored by BridgeComSystems.com as well as Pactena. So we've got sponsors. We've had sponsors. We had sponsors before we even had an episode recorded. That's ridiculous. And it's been great. So I think that I've got to pull the paper off the package here, folks, and tell you that as of now, Photime Podcast is no longer the Photime Podcast.
This is the last episode of Photime.
And it is also the very first, watch out for the glare there, it's the very first episode of Ham Radio 360.
I think I have something that'll make this fun.
So, yeah, hamradio360.com. What are you doing? You're shaking your phone up. Yo.
Yay!
More cowbell. More cowbell.
Oh my goodness. Oh, hey Andrew, glad to have you back. Yeah, we're changing the name of the show, guys. It's still going to be every 2 weeks. It's still going to be us and our guest. You can go to the website right now. It's live. It's still under construction, but it's hamradio360.com. Here's the logo. There it is. Okay. And that's almost the same hat that those of you who gave in the Get Kel to Dayton Fund will receive. It's just a little different color. This is just what do you call this? Like a beta version? Photime Forever. Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, well, we still, the show will carry on in the same feel. We feel like we've had this discussion, and this has been a long time coming, really. But we feel like this will kind of broaden our audience. The people who I got 2 emails this week. We don't know what Photime means. Will you please explain it? And it's not necessarily something you want to explain sometimes. You just have to say it's an inside joke because it is an inside joke. But thank you, Mary. anyway, hamradio360.com. What inspired the name? I got a question here. We decided that we wanted something that would have a broad draw to the audience. And I was driving down the road one day on the phone with Jeremy, and I passed a vehicle that was, I don't remember what it was. It was some... Jeremy's bringing out the Photime podcast. Those things are worth millions of dollars now.
That's my retirement income right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Folks, check out eBay in about 5 years.
Yeah, so Photime podcast is still live. You don't have to resubscribe if you are a subscriber on iTunes or your Android device. The feeds will swap over in the day or so, and that's what we've done. Ham Radio 360. Check out the logo again. Now, this logo was designed by none other than George himself, and it's pretty sweet. I've even got it on a shirt. Let's see if I can get a shirt in here. There it is. Ooh. Yeah, and that's a preview of the shirt that you're getting if you were one of the folks who donated to the program to get us to Dayton. So, Photime Podcast has left the building. Now, Jeremy, you played a part in this as well when you said, Kel, you can't change the music. The music has to stay the same.
Music had to stay the same.
Yeah, so the music will not change. The music's the same. Christine Lenore down at MTC has done us a new intro and outro that says MTC sponsors Ham Radio 360. And Jeremy's adjusting his lighting. Yeah, George did a great job on the logo, and it was like within 5 minutes. So we've got shirts, we've got hats, and they're at the place now being produced, and I anticipate getting those to you within the next week or two. Before Dayton, you should have your shirts and whatnot that and Darth Tater comes in. So we've got some pretty good replies. We've got some that maybe didn't like the fact that we changed it. That's okay. It's going to have the same feel. And that, George, that was one of the things we talked about. We really wanted this thing to stay the same with just a different name.
Yeah, I think that, the thing that was so important to us is not to mess it up. So far 49 episodes. And it's gone pretty well. We've got such wonderful response from listeners that we said, let's not fix that. Let's not throw out the recipe that has worked so far. Let's keep doing that. And what could we tweak around the edges to make it a little bit better? And I know in talking to some people about the old name, I'd say half the folks I talked to could care less what you can call it. Podcast number 59, and that'd be fine. But other people would listen to the name like, what is, and the conclusion they came to was not even the original kind of joke. So, anyway, we want to make sure we didn't throw out what was good about it. And also look at what can we do to kind of make it a little bit fresher too for the next 50 and maybe add some new ideas and kind of expand it. I love the 360 connotation, because when I would listen to you, Kel, talk about the show, the words you would always use to describe it were looking at ham radio from all directions. Quite literally that. And so when you suggested 360, I thought, well, it's exactly, it's the same terminology. It's a very good fit with your vision of what the show was. And, it kind of explains right away to anybody what the spirit of it is. Obviously ham radio from many different directions. So I thought it was a really great fit.
Yeah. Jeremy, you were kind of like, you sure? Just don't screw with the music kind of a thing.
I liked the one thing I think was endearing about the name is from an SEO perspective, we didn't have to fight to own that from an organic search perspective.
Right.
But other than that, I think, when we had that conversation, like George said, about what's a name that really captures what the essence is, Ham Radio 360 just nails it. And that's actually probably been the thing that has been the most surprising. We joke about getting to episode 50, but the list of episodes that we have to make is longer than the list of episodes we've made. And there really is just so many directions of content and stuff to cover. And I think it's a really fitting name. I'm really excited about it. I got to pick out the blue color in the logo. I was excited about that.
We haven't even mentioned this, but the new website is more than just what it's always been. It's always been just the latest podcast posting or whatnot. But if you go over there during it does match my shirt, or Jeremy's shirt. If you go over to Ham Radio 360, you'll see that it's not just us. It's not just Cale anymore. It's George, it's Jeremy, it's Sarah, it's Dan Romanchik, it's Curtis, it's the guys from Ham Hijinks, and we plan to add more people there. Maybe not the ones that you would anticipate seeing or the ones that are in the headlights all the time, but folks who have something to say and may not get that platform. The hamradio360.com is almost like a Drudge Report or a news aggregate site for amateur radio news and entertainment. That, at least that's what it is in my mind. And what I hope that we can kind of grow out from there is to bring, as we're expanding the brand, we're bringing folks in that can help us grow our audience, and we're helping grow their audience at the same time.
So one thing that I really liked about the idea of expanding on a website is there's a lot of topics that we'll talk about on the show, and you can only go so far in pure audio in an hour, and you want to be able to go deeper. So let's say if we have a discussion about a build project, you can only describe it so much on air, and then if you can go to the website and find more details about the thing or some pictures, it's a whole nother dimension of kind of going deeper on that particular topic. So having a kind of a web portal where you can go to kind of learn more about the topics, get more links, get more connections to more content is really strong. So I think that whole dimension is really going to be a lot of fun, and look at how we could build more content there.
And another thing that we talked about is, there are especially one of our most popular episodes ever has been the microcontroller episode. And obviously, George and I come at that from very different aspects and something that we're passionate about. And we've had a couple of conversations since then about, wouldn't it be great if we did some group builds? And for those of you who participate in social media, on Twitter or on Facebook, there's even potentially a way to aggregate as folks are participating in this stuff so that other people can see the work that you're doing, your YouTube videos, etc. And it's a way for us to be able to interact with you even more.
Yeah. And that's the key to this. That's why we tried, and that's why we decided to do this. And Mary asked me if I'm crying. I'm not crying. I cut grass for hours yesterday. And I thought to myself this morning when I got up, they were matted shut. You know how that goes. And I thought, this is the wrong day to do a live television broadcast. But that's one of the reasons we wanted to do the podcast live this time, of course, is so we can get, more contact and folks can see, interact and whatnot. And, I'm not against doing this once a quarter, possibly, but just a way to help connect ourselves. Within the podcasting community, it's hard to kind of, let's see, let me try to think about There's people who podcast and think that you're going to make $1 million for podcasting. Well, I started podcasting because I wanted to talk to an audience, and haven't made $1 million, but I've made a lot of friends. And that's the number one thing. That's the reason, instead of just quitting 30 episodes when I was ready to just take my marbles and go home, we kept going and made this thing work. And these two guys here and some folks behind the curtain really, really made the difference there. And I think that we can continue to do that with this, what we're doing. And I'm not going to turn my camera off. But, I'm having a lot of fun doing the show. But I also wanted to, it's one thing to have a Facebook page, but if you can have a page where people can come and spend some time and learn from other people. I mean, right now, guys, and I have been dying to tell you guys about the boxes that George has been putting together for his 7100, his battery backup, and it's just killer. But I couldn't send you there because it had all these links back to Ham Radio 360. So if you go to Ham Radio 360 and you scroll down and you find KG6VU, which is George's call sign, and you click on some of the links that are there from his latest blog post, it's amazing the work that he's done with his rigid boxes from Home Depot. And if you go a little bit further, you'll see Jeremy, and he's been doing some staining and some woodworking stuff on his latest, and I'm just pulling his leg, but it's there because it's there. And you'll learn a lot from Jeremy, not just about amateur radio. So there's a lot of folks that we're wanting to connect with to bring them on. The other Cale, K4HCK, Hotel Charlie Kilo, does the Amateur Radio Weekly update where he has every week. He does a new email about what's happened in the ham radio news. So he's on there as well. But amateurradio15.com is still live. Photonpodcast.com is still live. But we're going to ask you to go to hamradio360.com. That's where we're at now. The new feed, the RSS feeds have been updating. They're updating now. So your iTunes, all those subscriptions should be fine. And when this is released as a podcast in a couple of days, you'll get it the same way. And hey, guys, it just joined. So that's our big announcement. HamRadio360.com. This is episode number 50. I am Cale. We probably should throw a break in here. How about this? This portion of the Photon Podcast is brought to you by Kenwood Radio. So yeah, that's what I look like when I say that stuff. So yeah, thank you. Curtis likes the new site. It's not finished yet, of course, but George, does the new site not look better now than it did 6 weeks ago?
Well, yeah, it doesn't look like under construction. Come back later.
It was terrible.
It's definitely an upgrade. I like it because it's pretty clean. It's easy to navigate. The show is really the prominent focal point, and then the rest of it is kind of drilled down, from different contributors, like you're mentioning. So I think it's really clean. I like it.
Jeremy, we weren't sure that we were going to get it working right until our buddy from the West Coast came through and kind of bailed us out. But it looks pretty decent right now. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I got to admit, I'm a little embarrassed because my latest YouTube videos are about woodworking and not ham radio. And so that kind of looks woefully out of place. But no, I think it's kind of cool because we've gone from basically, like you said, effectively a blog roll to something that just looks a little bit more official and
Yeah. And that was what I wanted to do. I wanted a slider at the top to, show the last few episodes, but then I wanted it to be content rich. And, how can it be content rich with just one guy doing a podcast? There's other people like yourself, like George, like Sarah, like Cale, other folks doing stuff that needs to be acknowledged. And, they may need an extra little help, an extra push there. And I think that's a great way to get them there.
And the nice thing is the content there is not just like syndicated content from random other places. So it's not just here's other ham related stuff that we scraped off the internet and to bulk up the site. That's not the idea. The idea is that it's kind of part of the community, and it's kind of a double click to go deeper on some topics, or to maybe put content on topics that aren't in the podcast at all, but might be of interest to the listeners anyway. So it's kind of still related to everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm totally excited about it. I don't know what we would have done with the website without Dean and his 30 minutes. Dean just killed it.
It was a big help.
It always helps when you have somebody that works for the company who makes the software. So, yeah, who knew? I had no idea. So,
just got to find the right person.
Yeah, exactly. I think Sarah is here, and let me see if I can unlock this. Sarah, if you're listening, KD2GTM, this is K4CDN. If you want to try to come in here, there you go. Let's bring her in. There's Sarah's pink QSL card. She's calling. Well, it's not letting her in for some reason. Okay, we'll keep trying that. So anyway, Sarah is Kilo Delta 2 Golf Tango Mike. She's our vlogger friend. Is that a hard word for anybody else to say besides myself?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was just me or what. Yeah. Let's see here. Come on in, Sarah. I'm not sure.
By the way, the count is up to 25.
Well, hey, there's 26. Vlogging's a hard word.
10 seconds.
Say again?
I said I've been tweeting it like every 10 seconds.
Oh. Yeah, you tweeted earlier, and it threw out the new... Sarah, I don't know what's going on here. Why I won't let you in. I've given you the seat here, so... I have no idea. And none of us know enough about this to... Yes.
What browser is she using?
That's a good question. She's using Chrome,
Yep.
which
Using the right thing.
yeah,
I'm running Chrome here.
Yep.
I am on Firefox. Sarah, let's. I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to kick you out. Okay, she's going to refresh and try to come back. But what I wanted to do, guys, is get some of the folks who have been on the show before and or who possibly are on the podcast or on the website, hamradio360.com. We've got two of them with us now, Jeremy, KF7IGZ, and George Zafiropoulos. I almost said it right. Zafiropoulos.
Thank you.
Zafiropoulos. Okay, everybody say that 10 times. Okay. She's trying again. I don't know. I really want her to show up, but it's not letting her. Oh, man. Well, Andrew said he had to restart the browser completely just to listen to watch. I'm not sure. She's an electronic engineer. She's a lot smarter than me. I see the other Kale is around here. Kilo 4 Hotel Charlie Kilo. And Sarah, let's get you to try it again in just a minute. And let's see here. Okay. That's that. Okay. All right, Sarah, we're gonna try it again. Kale, can you see if you can get in? Kilo 4HCK. Can you come down here and click this area to call in? We'll see if we can bring Kale in. He can talk about his website. There's the other Kale.
Hey there, hey gentlemen.
Hey, man.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. You're a little low, but it's okay.
Hello. All right. Let's get the mic a little closer. See if that helps.
There you go. This is this is the other Kale on the Other Ham Radio podcast. Man, welcome into Ham Radio 360.
No, thank you. Yeah, things are about to get very confusing right now with two Kales on here, but we'll get through it.
This may break the space-time continuum. We have the same haircut.
Yeah, it's pretty much. We won't dwell on that too much, but yeah, it's
I got a
very
hat.
similar.
And the two other guys have plenty of hair for 3 or 4 of us. Hey, Kale, you may have noticed that you're now listed on hamradio360.com as a content provider. And I want you to tell us a little bit about what you do with Amateur Radio Weekly.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first, thank you very much for the listing.
Sure.
The website is looking great. I love the new name. Very modern, very awesome. But yeah, Ham Weekly, or Amateur Radio Weekly, is a weekly newsletter. It features basically the top news items that are going on around the world of ham radio for that week. So it's maybe the top 10, 15, 20 articles that are floating around, the most popular items. And we just kind of digest all of that into a weekly email. Very straightforward. So yeah, check it out. It's hamweekly.com. There's sample issues on there. Check it out.
Do you think that this announcement may make the cut this week?
Yeah, I think this is probably pretty newsworthy. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I get it. I'm a subscriber. I get it every week. There's always something in there, and you might have gotten me on the April Fool's issue, but I won't say anything else about the new Yaesu radio. I think Jeremy called me out on the date there, but the new portable Yaesu.
No, I fell for that too.
Yeah. You did good on that one, or somebody did good. You just brought it to light, I guess.
Yeah, it's very difficult to put something together around April Fool's Day. You don't know what's real and what's not, so just kind of throw it all in there and see what happens.
So what got you in amateur radio, and what got you doing a weekly deal for folks?
Well, what got me into ham radio, I had listened to shortwave every once in a while and kind of heard all these weird noises on certain frequencies. Turned out to be digital modes. I had no idea what that was, so I heard all this sing-songy music type stuff and just had to find out more about it. So that's what initially got me interested. So I'm real big into digital modes. Love playing around with that stuff. You had a second question, and I've totally blanked on it now.
No, I was just going to ask you what made you want to do the Amateur Radio or Ham Radio Weekly.
Well, I'm by day I work in the software tech industry, and there's a lot of good lists like that, a lot of good email lists in the tech community that really summarizes. There's just so much going on And I just felt like ham radio, amateur radio could use the same thing. There just didn't seem to be anybody really curating the good content all in one place in a way that I hope Ham Weekly is doing. So that was kind of my inspiration.
George, Jeremy, do you guys read the Ham Weekly? Were you guys aware of that?
No, actually, I think I've heard of it, but I haven't. So I'm going to subscribe. That sounds really good.
Hey, we got one.
I knew it.
All right.
Up one.
I had
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, it's a great. I love the logo because it's got like that retro feel. It looks like I don't know, like an old burger joint or something from the 50s or the 60s. I just love the feel there. It's really cool stuff. So
you call him the other Kale you call him the other Kale on the website.
He is the other Kale.
You could you could spell it with a K. I mean,
no. That's like that's heresy for people who spell it with C.
Yeah. No, I totally accept it. I will take that title. Those with audio and video, I think, kind of trump us text people. So, yeah.
Hey, real quick, Kale, tell us. I was named after a race car driver in 1973, Cale Yarborough. So, a hat tip to my southern roots there. But tell everybody how you got your name, if you will. If you don't, that's okay. But I think it's a cool story.
Well, I really wish I had an awesome story. I believe the way the story goes is my parents were looking for a name. They happened to be flipping through the Chattanooga telephone book. They found somebody named Kale, and it stuck, and that's about it. That's all I got.
Well, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been, well, I don't want to say somebody else's name. And Ricky Bobby, yeah, thanks a lot, Chuck. Yeah, so it's a great name, and it's not one that's found very often. I'm Caleb, but my folks call me Kale. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Just take the B off the end and comes Kale. So.
Yeah.
So tell us how let's see, we've got Andrews up in Alaska, Alpha Lima 7 uniform, looking for your site. What site does he go to read your stuff?
The website is hamweekly.com.
Okay, hamweekly.com.
Yes, or if you Google it, pretty sure it'll show up.
Or you can go to hamradio360.com and scroll down to the other Kale.
That would be the preferred method right now.
Good answer.
Yeah. Said our guest live here on episode 50. Kale, thank you for coming in. Anything you want to prop your stuff again? Anything else you need to you want to share with us? We really appreciate you being here and participating, listening, number one, but actually coming on and being a part of the show is really cool to have you. Nice to finally make your acquaintance.
Sure, absolutely. It's great to finally meet you and everybody else. Thanks. I'll just say hamweekly.com one more time. Really appreciate this podcast. I love the essence of it, getting back to basics for all the new hams. Obviously, you're doing a great thing, so keep going. Looking forward to see what Ham Radio 360 brings.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Other Kale, are you going to be at Dayton?
I cannot make it this year. I cannot make Dayton. I've got too many other vacation days already planned out, and I really want to get there before they tear that arena down and experience, because I've never been.
Well, that would have been about 20 years ago, but I think you're okay.
Yeah. Rather than paying for demolition, they're just letting time and decay take its course.
Yeah, it'll come down one way or another.
So since you can't be there, is there anything that, since I'm going to be roving around talking to vendors and folks in the flea market, is there anything that I can do to get news for you? Anything you're really interested in seeing?
Boy, that's a good question. Yeah, any first time or inside stuff that you find, just tweet it on, and we'll get it relayed along into the newsletter. So
last year's show was an amazing feat. I think Jeremy made like 9 million steps through the arena that weekend and came back with a tremendous show. I mean, he was sending me stuff every night, and I was compiling the show to get it out, right then, and it was just out of this world. That's a great show.
That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to. So Kale and I are actually going to be roommates at Dayton while he's there, and I'm sure every night we will be busy doing production or post-production from that day's stuff. And also, I will be tooling around with a camera this year for my YouTube channel. It's a little rig that I've kind of put together for interviewing folks. So hopefully there will be a lot of stuff. And since other folks are going to be at the booth, I will hopefully have even more time to spend with folks. So if you guys have anything that you really want me to talk to, or anybody you really want me to talk to at Dayton, make sure you're emailing Cale, or you can reach me at kf7ijz@gmail.com. And I will do my best to put a microphone in.
Absolutely. Cale, we appreciate you, man, from Tennessee. Good to see you.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
All right, man. Take it easy. It's Cale, Kilo 4, Hotel Charlie Kilo, and he is from @Ham Weekly. You can find him on Twitter. He's also now on the 360 page, hamradio360.com. And, yeah, Mary, you're exactly right. I got to show you guys a picture on my phone, if you can see this. This is a picture I just received from our buddy KF5JNU, Gerald. He is riding around. It looks like he's leaving a Sonic drive-in, watching the Blab on his tablet in his brand new F-150 pickup truck. That's pretty cool stuff. Hope you drive safely. Don't watch, just listen, kind of a thing. Yeah, that was Cale, the other Cale. And I started calling him that a while back when I found him on Twitter. So that's where that came from, George. He's a nice guy. You'll like his producing.
Maybe he could pick a couple of items that he puts on his webpage and maybe join us in a show periodically and kind of give us the top 2 or 3 newsy items that he thinks is most interesting.
Oh, I just had an idea. That's a good idea, George. Because he's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
he could do it as a segment and drop it in, or he could do it live, whatever works.
Yeah, I like that. I wonder, Sarah, do you want to try to come in again? If you've reset your browser and you want to try to come back in, we'll ask you to come back in. Please let her in. Her QSL card is so pretty. We need to have her in here. It's just not wanting to connect for some reason. And Mary, I'll echo again. Jeremy's show last year was it just rocked. All I had to do was put it together. It was so well done.
Thank you.
Talent, man, talent.
Talent or force of will, one or the other.
One of the two.
Giveaway.
Okay. All right. While Sarah's trying to call in, and Sarah, we can see you trying. You're just not getting there yet. George, he does this. You guys don't understand. This happens a lot during our shows. We're just talking, and George says, "Hey, I have an idea. I want to give $9,000 worth of stuff away right now." And Jeremy and I get up off the floor, and we, okay, let's give some stuff away, bro. Okay, Sarah's going to try again. Keep trying, hon. We want to get you in if we can. There were. Did I say 16, George?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I meant there was 14. There's 14. There's 14 people who met George's. What would you call that? That was the qualification to be entered into the drawing.
The challenge.
Okay.
The throwdown.
Yeah, so it was during the generosity campaign giveaway or campaign for generosity.com to get Cale to Dayton. George said if you give more than $65, you're entered to win how many? 3 Pac 10 minis, which look really sweet, by the way. I've seen them. There's pictures of them now on the hamradio360.com website, by the way. So we've got 14 people. I've got a list of people right here. George has 3 numbers. All right, let's give one away, George. Tell me the number, and we're going to give away one of these Pac 10 minis.
All right, we're doing number 3.
Number 3. Number 3 is the number 3? Okay.
Person number 3. Who is number 3?
Kilo Fox 6, Echo Fox Golf. Let me find out who that is. John McGrath. Kilo Fox 6, Echo Fox Golf. Congratulations, cool. John McGrath. He's in Franklin, Indiana. John McGrath, you're not here, but you just won a brand new Pac 10 mini. Compliments of our friends at pac10.com. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. George Zafiropoulos.
I have a friend who's from Franklin, Indiana, or a girl I went to college with. Well, her name was Allison.
Well,
not John McGrath.
No, not John McGrath.
John McGrath's the guy that's got the new antenna.
Oh,
that would that make him the first civilian to have one?
Yes, he would be the first civilian. By the way, there's 2 versions, and whoever wins can pick whichever one they want. So there's a 9-to-1 random wire and there's a 50-to-1 end-fed half wave. So whatever you prefer, you get the one you want.
So because I'm not too smart when it comes to this stuff, when you say end-fed half wave 50-to-1, meaning that I can just put half wave length of wire on for whatever band I want, and it's a mono band?
Yeah, exactly. So the way it works is when you cut a wire at a half wavelength of the frequency you're operating at, the feed point at the end is really high impedance, is as high as it could be, and it's typically 2,000 to 4,000 ohms. So let's call it 3. So at 3, if you have, let's say, 20 meters, half wave is 33 feet. Feed point impedance on that thing is about 3,000 ohms, more or less. So you've got to bring it down to 50. And so the matching transformer is about a 50-to-1 ratio. And if you get it right and you trim the antenna a little bit, it's 50 ohms right at the transmitter, no tuner required.
Cool.
So for a monoband antenna, it's actually great because you don't need a tuner. The other one has a 9-to-1, and the 9-to-1 is really used with a random wire and a tuner. And the 9-to-1 is a convenient transformation ratio that brings about any random wire down into tuning range of a tuner, but you need the tuner.
Mm.
That's over my head, but we like smart people here.
Actually, this brings up a really good point. Of all the stuff that we have covered, and we have covered a lot,
I know where you're going.
I still cannot believe we have not had an antenna episode.
Yeah. Well, geez, we could do an antenna a year.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
I've had 3 emails this week for folks asking us Balun questions.
Yeah.
Questions.
Yeah. And actually, I've got a bunch. I mean, there's a lot of books and everything out there, but I'm doing a presentation at Dayton on Saturday about portable antennas, and a lot of this sort of Balun stuff is part of that presentation. So that's going to be Saturday at 2:15 at Dayton. So whoever's there, come on over. We'll talk about Baluns and ununs and matching transformers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and do you know did you tell us the time, or is it just
2:15?
2:15
on Saturday.
2:15 on Saturday, and I haven't made any plans to leave the booth except maybe for the bathroom, but I may just stick my head into that one.
Yeah,
we need to record it so we can share it with our friends. We need to make sure that happens.
So the nice thing is it's
all Mark, good idea.
PowerPointed. So I'll post the PowerPoint after it's done. And what we could also do is either do an episode, or I can do an offline thing where we just go through all the material. And just for those people who couldn't make it to Dayton, you just get the offline version with the narration and the whole bit. And the reason that it's just interesting, right? So I like operating in the field, and I'd like to understand how to make these antennas. And the PAC-10 antennas are it's what we're going to talk about. It's just that they're pre-assembled. But if you want to make it yourself, we'll give you the whole recipe, and you can, cobble it together out of your own parts and build your own.
So why did you decide to make a mini version of this already magnificent multiband antenna?
So when we were looking at the PAC-10 design, we said, well, what do we mean by packable? Do we mean it's the ultimate lightweight, super duper small thing you would put in a backpack to go on the Appalachian Trail? Or do we mean I could throw it in a suitcase? And that decision, it makes a huge difference in terms of the material you use and the kind of antenna you're going to design. So we kind of went back and forth and decided that the first version of a PAC-10 would be a balance between small enough to go into a day pack, and yet rugged enough that you could have guys set it up at field day and tear it down, and set it up and tear it down, and you're not going to break it if you kind of are careful. But it wasn't the ultimate portable, smallest possible antenna. The challenge with making something super small is it tends to be more fragile, and it's a trade-off. So we always envision PAC-10 as kind of an idea, which is using backpacking hardware and make a variety of antenna designs that you can make yourself or buy them or whatever. So we always had an idea for several different kinds of antennas. The first one being the standard PAC-10, which gives you dipoles and inverted V's and ground planes and all these different antennas. So the idea for PAC-10 Mini was, if I'm going on a SOTA outing, and I want to take the absolute smallest thing and toss it in the backpack, what would I take? And I would take the big fiberglass pole and a wire, and I need a transformer at the end of the wire. And there's sort of two ways to do it, the 9-to-1 or the 50-to-1 kind of transformer, and that's why we did the Pactena Mini. The other thing is that, like with the regular Pactena, you've got a winder and a bunch of wire and then a transformer.
Right.
And that's fine if you toss it in your suitcase, but in a backpack, it could get a little bit more bulky. So we designed the Mini so that the circuit board that houses the transformer is also a wire winder. So when you're done, you just wind up the wire on the thing and you throw it in your backpack, and it's, easy to go.
Well, just last weekend, I spent my weekend out. I think I'm getting a little feedback from you, Jeremy, maybe. Somebody. Oh, okay. I spent the weekend out at a local outdoor facility. I'll just leave it there. And got to use my Pactena on 20. Found a national park on the air and just killed the pile up. It was awesome. First
really
off.
Awesome. That was with your TS50?
Yeah, TS50. Now, granted,
Great.
I tried it with 5 watts, and I was like, I've got 100 watts with this thing. Are you kidding? Booyah. And yeah, it was just like, hey, this is Kale. Can you hear me now?
Well, what's funny is that, whether it's a Pactena or the homegrown version or whatever, being a full-size antenna, it'll do a much better job than guys out there with the loaded, highly condensed miniature antennas. It's just, it's physics. By the way, somebody posted a thing here, said any timeline on when the instructions would be available. Well, for sure by May the
20th,
whatever, 18th, the Saturday, by then. And if anybody has questions, you can always email me, George at hamradio360.com, and I can send you stuff before it's finalized.
Cool. We've got room down here. I see Just Not Unique. Do you want to come in and say hey, Gerald? Or are you driving? He's driving. I don't know if he wants to try to make it in or not. And let's see if we can let him in here. See if his will work. His egg is flattened.
Hey, look at that.
Oh my God, he's got a beard.
Dude, it's my freedom beard.
I feel so out of place all of a sudden.
That's awesome, dude. How's it going?
It's going. I got about a 3-hour drive, and it's a mobile setup. It's not Jeremy's microphone recording studio.
Well, we're glad you came on and joined us because, guys, one of our very next episodes, we hope, is going to be Gerald and Jeremy starting a conversation about SDR radio. And I'm really excited about that because George has got some friends on the West Coast who are living, eating, breathing this stuff. Gerald is doing this stuff with well, I don't know how much we can say, but I know that Gerald's got a pretty awesome job that he gets to play with some really cool toys. Now he's got this contractor beard. Did you see my hat early on? Did you see my hat?
No, I just seen the gray one. Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, tell us a little about what's going on with you in the hobby right now.
Well, I came across this antenna. You might have heard of it. It's called the Pactena. A good man sent me one, and he's let me evaluate it. And really, I was just concerned mostly about the mast. That was kind of my big goal because that's been the hardest thing to find, operating over such a wide variant, between outdoor desert or, even trees. Everybody says, oh, find a good tree. All right, well, if you're in North Carolina with big, tall pine trees, that's easy. But if you get out, where there's elms and oaks and stuff, you're not going to be able to find a nice 30-foot tall branch to launch a line over. So it always seems like the hardest part is finding that perfect support structure. And that's what got me, looking at the Pactena. Well, I started using it, and I found out that, one, the ball insert and unun is constructed extremely well. It's super lightweight. It's easy to use. The connectors, I didn't think were going to be rigid enough, but they've held up great. And I need to send George some pictures, but I've got side-by-side pictures where I left it. I was on an island for about 2 months, and I used it completely unprotected. Just plugged the wires in, stood it outside, and let it go. and the salt water, corroded the ends just a little bit. But I ducked them in some Coca-Cola and wiped it off, and it turned out just fine. So then I decided that I would take a little preventative maintenance and put some white lithium grease on it and left it out for 3 weeks, and not a single thing of corrosion on any of the connectors. And it held up great.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, and Gerald's not a paid advertiser there. I can't read you the text that he sent me from Italy because this is a family friendly show. But he really was impressed with the performance of the PAC-10. I'll leave it there.
And very enthusiastic.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks for that. I'd love to see more of the pictures. Some of the pictures you sent me were really cool. It looked pretty rough out there in that desert island, though.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I'll say that.
That's coming from a Marine, so probably
it was rough not to come back.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So where are you driving for work?
No. So after I got out, I moved my family back home, and we were trying to figure out what the job thing was going to look like. So they stayed with my in-laws, and I'm working about 3 hours away. So on the weekends, I do the commute back and forth. But as soon as school lets out, they'll all be moved up with me, and we'll be a big, happy family again.
That's cool. Did you get guys? Right now, Gerald's also in the process of putting a mobile rig in his truck here. He's got a 7100 going in the truck with a Tar Heel. Is that right? You got the Tar Heel antenna?
Yep, that was actually Brewndoggy off of the AR-15 for him. He cut me an amazing deal on one. And now, I thought he was just, being friends. We met at Dayton and had a couple drinks. I thought we were buddies. Well, then I watched some of his posts, and the reason he cut me such a great deal is because he's buying an IC-7300.
Oh, he got you, man. He got you. But you're not just doing just a 7100. What else? There's a voltage down converter in your truck. What are you doing with that?
Yeah, so ever since part of my job's in aviation, so if anybody's messed around with aviation stuff, they know that, one, it's expensive. It's ridiculously expensive for everything. But two, everything is super over-engineered. And, coming from a farming background and working on tractors and stuff, it's, oh, man, twist the wires together and put some black tape on it and you're good. Well, these guys, everything's soldered and everything's retentioned and, really good stuff. So it's kind of rubbed off on me. So I decided this mobile install, I was going to do everything by the book. So I've got a 2 foot by 2 foot aluminum plate bolted onto the back of my truck where I'm mounting all my gear. So I've got the radio mounted and I got that voltage regulator, like Cale said, and it's going to convert 12 down to 5 volts. And I'm going to start off running a Raspberry Pi as my mobile computer. And if that'll handle it, I'll keep it. But I had another project that I was using the, what are they called? Minnow boards. A friend of mine turned me on to those, and it's an x86 microcomputer, about the same size as a Pi, but it runs, a lot better. It's got USB 3, gigabit Ethernet, the whole 9 yards. But the idea with that is I can pull over into a parking lot, take my tablet that's tethered to the Pi, and open up VNC and do, FLDigi or WSJTX or any of the digital modes from the tablet, and wirelessly, not have to be connected to the radio with any sort of USB cables.
I'm surrounded by smart people.
I was actually going to mention you. I came across another one. Have you heard of the Kangaroo?
Is that the one that has the little slide-on things or something?
Yeah, it's got the docking port, which this came across my feed because they just released a new docking port for it. Before it just had a bunch of video and USB networking, but now they have one that also has room for a 2.5-inch hard drive.
Oh wow, yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I'd heard of it, but I wasn't sure. For John Jacobs, it's the Minnow board. The new one is the Minnow board Max.
Available from, I can't remember, was it MCM or Newark or DigiKey? I'm not slandering anybody, but I wouldn't buy one from Mauser. Mauser had some, and the
4 that I know of people purchasing from Mauser have had issues with them. I fixed both of mine that I bought from Mauser with firmware updates, but some other guys had to send them back.
Cool. Well, dude, be careful driving. We're glad you came in and hang out with us for a minute. And
I'm loving it.
You and Jeremy have got to get on the ball now. We got to get this show together, right?
T-minus 2 weeks.
That's right.
All right, well, y'all take care. I enjoyed it.
Okay, brother. Be careful. We'll talk to you soon.
87.
That is KJ6 VU, KF7IJZ with K4CDN. That was KF5JNU Gerald, one of our buddies. He's one of the, when I talk about the people behind the scenes, I talk about the people behind the curtain. That's one of them.
He's an instigator.
He is. He's the one that put us together. I had the good fortune to live about 30 minutes north of him when I did my time in the DMV, and he and I met at a barbecue held by our one of our forum members, Bulldog 1967, and we became fast friends. Good dude.
I miss hanging out with him actually quite a bit.
Yeah, I would too. I'm hoping that he'll, and we should have asked him, we should have put him on the spot to ask him if he was actually going to come to Dayton. He's kind of threatened it, but I don't know if he'll make it or not. I don't know if he'll make it. Sarah, did you try? Do you have something else to try with this time? You want to give it another shot? We would love to have you in. I know folks have enjoyed your vlogs. Sarah, Kilo Delta 2 Golf Tango Mike, if you want to try it again, we'll try to have you. I think it's going to work. Hey, there she is. Welcome in to Ham Radio 360. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're awesome, and we're so glad you made it. Did you have to dance on top of the counter upside down or something?
And it seems to be working now. So I don't know why my other laptop wasn't working.
You're there, and we appreciate it. Now you're coming to Dayton, right?
Yes, I will be coming to Dayton.
Did you get your room squared away?
Yes, I'm actually going to be staying in Indiana, but it's about 30-minute drive, but it was cheap, so.
Well, you're a ham radio operator, so you get to be cheap. That's kind of, if you're not, you get to sign up cheap, Yeah,
especially in college, it just goes hand in hand.
Yeah. This is George. This is Jeremy. We're tickled to have you here with us. We've been enjoying your vlogs, and we have you also listed on the hamradio360.com website, so that's pretty cool, too. When can we expect your next vlog?
Next week. There will be one in the upcoming week.
Cool. Do you want to give us some hints about it, or is it just something we're going to have to anticipate?
Yeah, sure. I can give you some hints. So basically, this upcoming week, I wanted to talk a little bit about the perks of being a ham radio operator in college, and just some of the benefits and things that I get to have with that I feel like I probably wouldn't get to partake in if I started on later on in life. Okay.
Well, yeah, I can tell you it's better to start early.
Yeah.
Because you get to be an OEM like me, and you're like, boy, I'm way behind the 8 ball. That's why it's good to have smart friends that have been doing it since longer than you've been alive. Some of them, and
Yeah.
So what's happening? What's happened up in Rochester?
Well, it's finally got warm. It was snowing last week, but now it's 70, so I'm happy.
Oh my gosh. That is insane.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy winter, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It was about 75 to 76 here today, or maybe a little less than that. Anyway, it's hot for me. I'm a guy that's, 60 degrees is hot for me. I start sweating. So do you like the new logo?
Yeah, it looks really, really good.
George did that.
She's got good taste.
Hey, anybody with a bright pink QSL bedazzled card, they've got great taste. They've got great taste. So what's been happening? The school club still going well?
Yes. We were actually just up on the roof of one of our dorm buildings doing some repeater maintenance last week, which is good. Got that working. Other than that, a bunch of us in the club are going to Dayton, so got all those plans finalized. Yeah.
Well, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
You're all coming by the booth, right?
Yes.
At least, okay. And you got some stuff for us to have at the booth so we can share with folks when they come by?
Yeah, I'll have some flyers.
Excellent. So are you excited about the trip? I'm excited, but I'm 42 years old. So, I mean, our excitements are different here. Are you excited about going to hang out with a bunch of stinky old men for the weekend?
Hey, I'm excited. I've heard really, really good things. I had a lot of friends that went last year, but it fell during my finals week, so I just couldn't go. So I'm pumped.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Are you going to be shooting any video while you're there?
Yes. I'm going to be bringing a GoPro, and hopefully I'll have another camera so I can actually get good audio and do a little bit of a better level of that. But
do you need a Ham Radio 360 shirt to wear during your trip?
Sure.
We'll see about work. You send me your shirt size. We'll talk about it later. How's that?
Mikhail, you realize she's going to make sure you bedazzle your hat.
Ooh.
Yes.
So
Hey, I could probably get her one printed in pink.
That would be awesome.
That would be.
The pink. Yeah. But then she'd have to cover her hair up and ponytail it. So tell us what's been going on with you. Have you been chasing any national parks on the air or anything like that, or are you school's just been covering you up?
Well, there's been a little bit of things here and there. Today, actually, I have a friend that's co-oping down in Boston, so we tried to connect on the radio, but it just wasn't working today, so that didn't work out. But stuff like that. I do have something that will be announced in one of my upcoming videos that's going to be happening pretty soon. So I've been doing a lot of planning for that, and I think everybody will be really excited to see that. I can't tell you what it is, but it's coming.
Okay, no. You got to keep us in suspense because you're a female, and that's okay. I know. I was listening back to our interview the other day. I was going down the road, and my daughter was asking about ham radio and whatnot. I said, "Well, let's listen to Sarah talk about ham radio." So I queued the episode up, and we listened to a few minutes. And I was reminded about your sorority's anniversary coming up. Have you thought any more about trying to do some special event there with the ARRL for that?
Yeah, I haven't actually done anything with that quite yet. The 100-year anniversary will be in 2017, so there's still a decent chunk of time, but I haven't planned anything quite yet.
Okay. Guys, Sarah's just getting in the hobby. What can you share with her that some things some roads to go down that maybe she hasn't considered yet that you think would be inspiring for her?
Wow, it kind of depends on what area interests you. I think so. You're in school. You're a engineering major, correct?
Yep. So
right.
I'm a computer engineering major at RIT. Actually, right now I'm on co-op, so I'm working as a software development engineer for a company called Pictometry. But computer engineering is my major with a GIS minor. So I'm into GPS technology.
So there's a whole bunch of crossover in the ham world, right? With location finding stuff and APRS and applications like that. And I don't know if that's too close to work, that it's like, well, you're really into that, so that would be great, or not because you want to do something different. But, I think that the key is really to get exposed to a lot of the most common stuff, to get sort of a feel for it, get HF exposure, get digital mode exposure. Obviously you've done repeater VHF stuff, maybe D-Star. Just try a lot of different things and see what's interesting. And then I think the other thing is see how it kind of folds into your daily life. I think a lot of people get interested and then it falls away, because you get really busy. It's school and it's work and whatever, and it's really easy to drop it. But if you wind up weaving it in, let's say on the commute to somewhere to work or school or whatnot, if that's the time you could use it, then you do it. Or maybe, a couple times a year you go operate a contest or go to the park or something like that. So, just find those times to get the operation experience.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the really great things about being involved with the club at RIT is we're always finding different volunteering opportunities where we get to, use radio and actually use it for a good cause, and everybody gets to be on the air. So a lot of good opportunities like that open up.
Absolutely. And I wish that I would have gotten started. The story is true. I've got 4 different technician manuals. I started a long time ago putting this thing off, but I'm glad that you got your start early. And, it probably helps that you're electronically inclined and you come from that, but it's definitely got to help. Jeremy, anything that you could share with Sarah here?
So I follow, outside of amateur radio, I follow a couple of the hobbyist electronic type personalities like Dave Jones, I'm sure you're familiar with from the EV blog, Lady Ada from Adafruit. And the big news last week was that Lady Ada is getting her ham license. And if you actually listen,
really?
Yeah, she's getting her ham license. And one of the things that's interesting to me, as I started listening to the Amp Hour podcast, which is Dave Jones and Chris, I think his last name is Gamble. He's in a double E up in Cleveland, who kind of travels around the world giving talks. But there have been plenty of times where folks are like, I know nothing about RF. I know 50 ohms and that's it, and it's interesting kind of the background towards this career that you get, because you have a little bit better understanding of how weird things happen and how capacitance and reactance and things like that play. So I definitely think it's a good tool to have in your toolbox, because at least you're going to know some of the concepts as you go throughout your career, and some of your peers will not.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited to have you here, and I know that it's cool to see a young lady participating in the hobby. When I upgraded for my general, there were two twin sisters, 13 years old. They're taking their tech test, and they passed, and they were stoked, and their mom and dad were both licensed, and they were excited as well. So it's always cool to see young people, male or female, come join us in the hobby. And I'm tickled to death that we're going to get to see you at Hamvention. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah,
no, definitely. And it's definitely been growing from my experience, just seeing, a lot of young people getting into it, or finding that, it was something that not that long ago I didn't really know anything about. And now everywhere I go, people will be like, oh, you're into amateur radio, right? Like my dad's licensed. I had my license. Or, people see my name on the email list for my radio club and at school, and people that I work with, they'll be like, hey, I was part of that club, a few years ago. And it's pretty cool how it's just opening up and seeing it in all different aspects of my life.
Fantastic. So next week or the week after, we'll see you on a new vlog episode, which of course will be posted on hamradio360.com.
Yes.
Where can we find you if we're not looking for you at hamradio360.com?
So I have a YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.com/c/KD2GTM. So that'll bring you directly to my channel, and that'll have all my videos there. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter, which is also twitter.com/KD2GTM. Facebook.com/KD2GTM. I think that's it. Yeah, but the main channel is my YouTube channel, and I try to post everything that's on there on all the other mediums as well.
Fantastic. Well, Sarah, we're so glad that you made it in. And sorry it took so long to get you here, but man, it's been great to have you.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad I could come in.
All right, don't forget, we'll catch up about a shirt, and we'll chat with you soon, Sarah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll see you later.
Bye.
All right, so that was Sarah. We finally got her in. George, we need another winner.
Oh, yes.
Winner, chicken dinner. Congratulations again to John McGrath. John is not on here. I cannot wait to send him a message and say, John, you won. Actually, yeah. Blab sent John a message via our show and said, congratulations. I guess they're watching too. So give me a number, bro. Number 8. All right, let me see who this is. I don't have a name with that one.
Oh, great. Do you have a call?
No. I got a name. I got a number. I got a call sign, but I have to look up. I've got 2 lists here. Number 8. It's a really long call, so it shouldn't be that hard to find. Okay. I know the tension is just built beyond imagination. No, I'm making you wait.
Sign?
Okay. Let me make sure now. Okay. Call sign Kilo Echo Zero Hotel Romeo Bravo. Again, Kilo Echo Zero Hotel Romeo Bravo. Congratulations, Todd Solomon from Plainville, Kansas.
Yay.
Congratulations. I'm sorry it took me that long to find it. But, yeah, huge call. Congratulations, Todd Solomon, Kilo Echo Zero Hotel Romeo Bravo. You're the second winner in the Ham Radio 360 Pack-10 giveaway. John McClure, I said it wrong 3 times, is over here in the chat window. John, would you like to come and join us for a few minutes, and let's talk about your what you do for the hobby? If you'd like to, just click there on the box below George? If not, we'll understand. Kind of three scary guys as the sun sets on the East Coast here. My light's gone away. I had daylight, but the daylight's
I
gone.
had opened my
me.
blinds.
Yeah. So, okay, maybe John doesn't want to come in. How do I connect audio? It'll be through your speaker and your microphone on your PC.
That's helpful.
Wow. He's asking the dumbest guy on the show.
Pick up your mouse and talk into your mouse.
Don't do that. I know not to do that. John, when you come to click in, it should ask you what you want to use for your mic and your camera. If you want to try that. See there he is. Let's see, who is this? That is Robert Bruner. Robert, hang on just a few minutes. Let's see if we can get John in here real quick. All right, John. The mouse doesn't work. My wife just called. She must forget that I'm on the air. All right. John's going to go find his microphone. Bruner, if you want to try again. We'll get you back on here. This is K4CDN with KF7 IJZ and KJ6VU. We normally don't call each other by our call signs because we never ever usually talk on the radio to one another. Although that I'm working on the D-Start thing. Yeah, I see that. I'm working on the D-Start thing. So where did Robert Bruner? He was here and now he's gone. No, we're doing something a little different than that. Here's John. Let's see if we can get John in. Let's see if we can. All right, he's ringing in. Yeah, Chuck makes a very good point over here in the live chat, folks, that John McClure, he said we should bow to him because his...
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, it says, John said we have a poor internet signal.
Oh, we heard you.
I heard you for just a second there. Let's see here. Are you there, John? Try your audio. Nope. Not hearing anything yet. Okay. John, I'm going to back you out and let you try again. Okay. It says kick. I had to kick him out, but that's not what we were doing. So, John, we're going to ask you to try it one more time, see if we can get you in. It's been a little while this evening. We'll stop here and take a look at the new logo. Thanks to our buddy George. Yeah. So, what I'm looking for, Jeremy, is a DV Mega to snap onto my new Pi 3, and we're trying to find that.
The thing that he was just waving around, the DVAP, would also work.
Yes.
But it's like $190 more than the other.
Yeah, this is like $250 versus like what, 150?
It's like 100
gigaparts, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see if we get John this time.
Or just order it from the guys in Europe. A lot of guys here order them directly.
Because what you really want is the DV4 Mini, because then you will be set up. You will be set up to have C4FM, which is the Yaesu. GMSK, which is the D-Star, and then also DMR and P25.
Hey, John, did you make it in?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hey, I made it. Good evening.
Welcome in.
Howdy.
How are you?
Doing great. And I just got the message, looked on Facebook, and it says the session was in session. So I figured I'd log in and say good evening, everybody.
Well, we're grateful that you dropped in to say hello. Now, I've heard John's voice before when he left me a message through our SpeakPipe a while back, so I knew you had a great radio voice. John, you have a voice of a great radio sound there. You should be podcasting. I mean, as much work as you're doing on the Chinese radios, you could probably have a pretty great following.
Well, I'll tell you, the thought has been there, but I have been so busy that with just bench testing and beta testing radios, I really don't have a chance that much to get on my podcast between doing the website and reviews. It's almost a full-time job. I didn't work this hard when I was working.
Hey, speaking of that, tell us a little bit about, because I know a lot of people may wonder how in the world did you become the go-to source for all things Chinese handy-talkies?
Well, I tell you, it all started with Baofeng back around 2012 when they first came out. And there was a question about the drivers with the, as you know, the infamous programming cables, with the problem with the drivers. And I figured I'd help out a couple of people. And they said, well, could you post this? So I figured, well, my background, I had a little bit of web design. So the first page in McClure was what's now known as the driver's page. It was a home page. It was a driver's page, which was a 2-page FAQ. Right now, the McClure site's over 300 pages.
Well, I mean, there's close to 300 different Baofengs available, right?
Well, when you count all the rebrandings with the, the UV5RX Group 2 version 3 high power Mark 5, they rebranded to give it about 50 different names, all basically the same radio. But I tell you, got to be thankful. One thing about these radios is the number of new hams that are now on the air. And before, I mean, it was always known, even when I got my license back in, and I'm not going to tell you when, but when I got my license, even back then, it was known as a rich man's hobby. And it took a lot of savings to be able to go out and, purchase a Swan 350 or a 250X, or, Lord knows if you had a great fortune, you could spend $350 and get a Drake.
Wow.
But those days are gone. But now that the insurgence of the small, $25, $50, $100 radios, and now they've got a tri-bander out there for $100. And where do I tell you about this one I'm working on now? I'll give you a little heads up. I can't tell you what it is because it just came out of production, but it's amazing what the technology is bringing.
Yeah, well, if it hadn't been for the lower cost radios back when, I wouldn't have a radio. I bought the Oshin when it was $120, and that was a stretch for me at the time. And none of you may know this, but initially, my first episode I anticipated recording for the Photime podcast was going to be the case for the Chinese handy-talkie, and it was going to be exactly what John just said: is love them or hate them, it's brought a bunch of people into the hobby, and I think we're talking to a lot of those people, which is exciting.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's just a resurgence, and I enjoy the website for no other reason. And I've mentioned this on one of the pages there, it's who exactly is John McClure. I had some really great mentors. I mean, I got my ticket when I was 12 years old, and I went into a radio club, and when I went in, they looked down on me like, well, who is this guy? He's just a kid. But instead of looking down on me, they said, what can we do to help you? And I was given a chance to sit down in front of an old Collins 75A4 and a 50S1. I believe it was a 50S1. And that was my introduction to the low bands. And I had 3 or 4 people that just helped me right along. And this is just my small way of paying it back.
Well, we appreciate it. I know that there are just tons of people that have their questions answered every single day on Facebook, Twitter, all over the forums. You see people pointing back to the McClure site.
There's a reason that when he joined the chat room, I wrote his name in all caps and put like 3 exclamation marks after it.
No.
He's a rock star.
No. I'm just the average guy who's looking out there to help. Rock star. Somebody asked me sent me a message once and says, how's it feel to be famous? I said, please don't use that word. Famous is not where it's coming from. I just want to be, pay back what I can, pay it forward. And anybody who's listening, who's gained any information from the McClure site, my only request is that you do the same thing. Take that knowledge, pass it on to the next guy.
Yeah. And John, I've found that out of all the hobbies I've had, all the hobbies I've been involved in, amateur radio, and George and I have talked about this before too, amateur radio has got to be one of the most giving hobbies that I've ever participated in. And when I was into motorcycles, no one was going to loan you a motorcycle. Here's, take my Road King and enjoy the afternoon. I worked in model railroading. It's a nice giving hobby, but nothing like we've had with amateur radio. It's like a pay it forward on steroids all the time.
Exactly. And there's so much more out there. I mean, I'm just going to give you a little preview of something. The review will probably come out in about, I'm guessing probably in about another month it'll actually hit production. But to show you where technology is, I'm working right now, working with a company in China who they've kind of, breaking the mold a little bit. It's a handheld. It's a 16-channel UHF handheld, 25 watt with built-in cooling fan.
Whoa.
I even play in the review, if you want to run it on 5 watts and 10 watts, go right ahead. I will not run it at 25 watts with the antenna next to my head, but I'll tell you, I have put it in the car. It makes a dynamic little mobile. And when you think about it, if you're into UHF, you've got one radio. You can run it at home. You can run it in the car. You can run it as a handheld. It's everything in one. But boy, I would not put that 20. I kid people when I show it to them. I said, what you do? I said, the instructions are you open up a hot dog roll, lay the antenna in the roll, insert a hot dog, press the transmitter for 20 seconds, and eat the hot dog.
There you go. That's a pretty good way to look at it for sure.
But I'll tell you,
that's crazy.
It's just where technology is going is unbelievable. And I guess I'm fortunate that I've got the trust of some of these companies where they will send me the radio and say, John, what do you think? And because I'm not a dealer or a manufacturer, I tell them I've got nothing to lose by saying anything good or bad. So if you send it to me, be prepared.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that because that's what it takes. I mean, not only do people need help getting and keeping their stuff running, but we also need to know what we're getting in before we get into it. So we appreciate your dedication there. Got a question here for you, John. It looks like Robert wants to know what size battery is running that radio that you have.
Actually,
or can you say
the radio itself? It's a lithium-ion battery. The whole radio it's larger than the average handheld. It's about 7 inches high. It weighs 19 ounces, which is 1 pound and 3 ounces. So it's heavy. The battery is a lithium battery. It is a 12.6 volt at 4,000 mils. So it's a 4,000 milliamp battery, but not your standard 7.4. It runs 12 volt battery. So on low power, that battery will last forever.
John, does this kind of put me in the mindset of the old 2-meter Yaesu kind of G.I. Joe looking, almost an 817 style with the antenna coming out of the top? Is it something? Can we get an idea kind of like that, or is it more like the little what is it, Leixin 889 or something like that?
The 880. I mean, like the Leixin, the 898.
Yes. Yes.
That's actually I get the same type of battery. It's the same concept where they're running a 25 watt, but that's they have the external with that 898, the external case that runs the lithium batteries in the background. It's the same basic concept. 25 watts, those lithium batteries. But like I say, it's heavy, but it's great for field day. It's great for, like I say, if you want something in the house, you want it in the car, you want to run it as a handheld, it's in everything in one. If the UHF takes off, they said the next step is the VHF version. I'd like to see it go to a dual band.
Oh, that'd be hot. Yeah. And I'm a UHF kind of guy, so that sounds interesting for me. John, we appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us. We need to get you listed on hamradio360.com and make sure everybody can stay up to date with you when they come by and visit the new site.
Okay, sounds good. What I want to do is maybe offline get with you and find out just what I need to do as far as I've got cameras around here someplace. But no, it's a pleasure calling in. It was just coincidence. I'm in there answering a few questions and on Facebook, and it said that the podcast was active, and I figured, well, now's the time to come in.
Well, we're glad you did. It's great to hear you. Love your voice. It's always awesome to chat with folks that have that radio voice, and I guess just being a radio geek like myself, you'd make one of those. Are you on AM at all? Because you sound like you have that AM operator voice.
No, I don't. I have done some voiceovers for companies where I've worked and done, the good evening, welcome to, that type of thing.
Yeah, you got it.
Those types of broadcasts. But no, as far as professional voice, no. The closest I ever came to, no, that's not even close. I put in a few applications for announcing, like at Baltimore, there's the stadium down there in Camden Yard. I put in for announcer position down there, but I guess they took one look at the resume and went, nah. It was too technical, but they were looking for somebody with prior voice experience. I've got the voice, but no prior experience.
I got you. Well, you do now. You've been on Ham Radio 360. John, we appreciate you coming in. We're going to let you run out, and we're going to let George give us our last winner for the antenna. But before you do, please tell everyone that's listening where we can find what you've got about the amateur radio hobby you participate with.
Well, the website is McClure.com. It's MIKLOR. And the way it got its name is I've had that website name for about 20 years. MIK is short for Michael, who's my son, and LOR is Lori, my daughter. And it came out to be MIKLOR, McClure.com. One interesting fact is just to mention as far as ham radio and getting the younger generation started.
Yeah.
I'm licensed. My wife is licensed. My son and my daughter are both licensed. My cousin Mike is licensed. We all got a license around the same time. My father and uncle, since